How you doing, guys? Malik over at Modern Pawn. Today we're going to be talking about the new Glock 42. Very cool little pistol. This is actually my personal pistol. We're going to run it through its paces. We've got a bunch of different ammunitions we're going to try. I got 10 different boxes of ammo. I've got 6 different range quality ammo and 4 different personal defense quality ammunitions. We're going to give it a run through its paces, and we're also going to take a look at it compared to a couple of popular 380 pocket pistols as well. First off, when you take a look at the 3 different pistols, you'd see that the Ruger stands out as the smallest. It is definitely the smallest of the 3, although the SIG and the Glock are both relatively small. I think that the Glock, the SIG, and the Ruger LCP, all 3 fit in the back pocket quite nicely. If you don't have your cell phone in your front pocket, they fit in the front pocket quite nicely. If you decided to holster them, they would holster, I think, very, very easily, both inside the waistband, outside the waistband. Carry options on all 3 of these guns is really broad. I think coat pocket, purse, backpack, wherever you need to put them, they're small enough, they're light enough, where they really tuck away quite easily. So for overall length, the Ruger is the shortest, both length and height, at 5 1/4 inches long and about 3 5/8 inches tall. The SIG is about 5 1/2 inches long and 3 7/8 inch long, and the Glock is 6 inches long and just under 4 inches tall. Not quite 4 inches. These little nipples right here make it 4 inches long at the base of the magazine. The Ruger is the thinnest of the pistols at 0.81 of an inch. The SIG is a little bit thicker due to its safety and mag release. At the widest is 1.01 inches, and the Glock comes in at 0.97 of an inch. So general thickness, the Ruger has about a 2/10 advantage. As far as ergonomics go in the hand, the Glock is definitely, in my opinion, the most comfortable pistol in the hand. With the magazine seated, I have a solid 2 fingers on the gun. I do not have a pinky on the gun unless someone will come out with a magazine extension to get the pinky on the gun. I don't think it needs it. I think with the middle and ring finger on the gun and a solid place for the thumb to sit, the gun is comfortable in the hand. The SIG with the flush mag, again, I have enough room for both middle and ring finger, a solid grip, and a place to work the thumb safety. The Ruger, on the other hand, is the smallest. If you do not use the extended magazine with the flush magazine in there, you get about half your ring finger, and I have barely enough room for my middle finger unless I have the extended magazine in place, and even then my ring finger is very cramped on this gun. I don't have a humongous hand, but the Ruger is a little small. I find that both the SIG and the Glock fit my hand much, much better. The SIG is a little bit blocky. It's kind of a very straight, squared off feel to it. The Glock, they did do a little bit more hooking in back here, giving you some ergonomics. And also, for some reason, it just feels better. That's really hard to quantify besides picking it up and feeling it. The triggers on all 3 of these guns are different. The Glock is your traditional safe action, some people call it a striker fire style pistol. The Sig Sauer is a single action only with a safety on. So with the hammer in the down position, nothing happens. The hammer has to be cocked, safety has to be on. And the Ruger is a partially cocked double action. So the hammer is in a partially cocked position. It goes off, you cannot restrike it. So partially cocked, double action, single action, and striker fired. 3 very different types of mechanisms. All 3 work well. As far as consistency goes, the SIG is going to give you the nicest, cleanest trigger pull, but you will have a second step involved in getting everything to go off and flipping the safety off before the trigger goes off. But you do get a nice quality single action trigger. The Glock, you get about a 5-pound trigger pull. It's consistent, it's clean. If you're used to shooting a Glock, it's very familiar. All right, guys, I'm going to give you a little personal story, a little anecdote. When the Glock 42 came out, I was one of the first ones to pick one up in the shop. I bought one, didn't think anything about it. I've had many Glocks. I still own many different Glocks. Never had to have any kind of break-in period. And generally speaking, I've owned 26s, 19s, 17s, 34s, 35s, 22s, 21s. That's what I currently have, and I've had other ones in and out of my hands throughout the years. Never had one had an issue with anything. As long as the ammunition wasn't totally manufactured improperly, I've never had an issue with one of my Glocks. They've always run extremely, extremely well. I've shot tens of thousands of rounds through Glocks. I bought this one thinking it's a Glock, it's going to run just like the rest of my Glocks, and I picked up a box of Barnes XPD. This is the 80 grain TAC XPD Barnes bullet. It is a lead-free solid. Barnes is my absolute favorite bullet on the market as far as hunting. It is my go-to for everything. I shoot Barnes pretty much exclusively for all my hunting rounds. So I figured, favorite ammunition, favorite pistol manufacturer, what can go wrong? Well, I bought the ammo, loaded up the pistol, put it in my back pocket, and carried it for about 5 days. And then I started thinking, I should do my due diligence and make sure that these hollow points at least feed through the gun. And I was like, well, I'm going to waste $10 worth of ammo, no big deal. Might as well put some down range. Well, went to go shoot the ammunition, and the first magazine, I couldn't get a single one of them to cycle. So I was immediately panicked, and I went to the ammo cabinet and pulled out every box of 380 that I had. And what I did was I ran a couple of rounds through everything, and we're going to give you some of the results right now. 95 grain Winchester white box. These are full metal jackets. Next up, we have the Hornady 90 grain XTP. This is custom loaded hollow points from Hornady. Next up, Federal 90 grain Hydra-Shocks. This is the low recoil Federal personal defense jacket hollow point Hydra-Shock. Next up is the 80 grain Barnes XPD bullet. This is a personal defense hollow point, copper solid, no lead. Barnes XPD. Alright guys, to save a little monotony of just going through a whole bunch of different ammo, let me just say everything on the table right here ran fine through all three of the pistols. We had Winchester white box, full metal jackets. These are 95 grain. We had PMC 95 grain full metal jackets. We had some old, I don't even know what brand this is, some old 9mm Kurtz, 6.1 gram bullets. I'm not going to do the conversion on that. MagTech 95 grain full metal jackets, and 94 grain Monarch and brass, and some Remington 95 grain, again, range ammunition. As far as the personal defense stuff, we use the 90 grain Zombie Max, the Z-Max bullet from Hornady, the Federal low recoil 90 grain bullet, the Hornady 90 grain XTP, and the Barnes 80 grain. The Barnes 80 grain did not run through the Glock. It ran through both the SIG and the Ruger. Now, just so I'll throw this out there, the Federal low recoil was not very low recoil. It felt the same as all the other self-defense ammunitions, but it still ran through the Glock, the Ruger, and the SIG, as did everything else on the table. The only malfunctions that we had was with the Glock and the Barnes XPD. Why the Glock did not function with the Barnes, I don't know. We pulled some of the bullets out, chamber checked them in the barrel. They did not feel like they were tight. They dropped right in, they dropped right out. I don't think it was that issue. I don't think it was the fact that it was nickel plated cases, because the Federal low recoil were nickel plated cases. The only one on the table that was 80 grain was the Barnes, but it's a self-defense ammunition. You'd figure it would be running hot enough to cycle the pistol, but it didn't. It basically turned the Glock into a single shot. It wouldn't cycle out a single round. For reference, guys, that was Barnes lot number A105-9234M-2. Not only did we shoot it through one, but we shot it through two separate Glocks. One was an AAN prefix, and the other was an AAP prefix. So, different in the lot number from the Glocks. It was only one box of Barnes XPD, but every single round in both different Glocks did not run. I think this is an excellent pistol. I'm still going to carry the Glock 42 as a pocket pistol. I think Barnes is excellent ammunition, but this combination does not work. The 80 grain Barnes and the Glock 42 are not compatible in my opinion. This is just scratched off the list, this combo, in my opinion. Just on a note of comfort of shooting all the different pistols with all the different ammunitions, the Ruger did have the most recoil. It was not obnoxious amount of recoil. It is the lightest of the gun at like 8.5 ounces, where the SIG was 13.5 ounces and the Glock was 12.2 ounces. So the Glock was in the middle as far as weight. The SIG and the Glock felt both very comfortable with all the different ammunitions. The Ruger did have a little bit more recoil, but it's still a 380. It was not an obnoxious amount of recoil, even with the self-defense loads. And I'll tell you, the extended magazine and the little hook on the bottom, it definitely helped keep the gun in the hand. It was not like running a one finger around the gun on this one. Other than that, the SIG and the Glock were both extremely comfortable to shoot. I had, after shooting a whole bunch of different ammunitions, several rounds through all three guns, and it did not start to sting at all. I could shoot these for days and not have any worries about it. Really comfortable all the way around. Glock 42, guys, excellent pistol. I think it's going to be carried by many people. Word of caution: 80 grain Barnes, don't put it in your 42. It's not going to run. Make sure if you do buy a new pistol, test the ammo that you're going to carry in it. It's a really important part of your diligence in testing your gear, making sure everything works right. Thanks for watching, guys. Check us out at facebook.com/modernpawnandguns. Stay safe.